Logos are a work of art. They deserve to be celebrated, analyzed, debated, and critiqued. A conversation is often sparked by art, and people are often intrigued by it. So, why aren't logos given that treatment? Many historical items are often cut from certain media, only to be replaced by more relevant ones. It's like if somebody took a painting of the Mona Lisa and used that painting to paint another painting over it. Sounds facetious, I know, but that's exactly how us logo enthusiasts feel whenever a logo is plastered. Logos from the past and present should stay relevant because they're history. They shouldn't be ignored or forgotten because a work of a human being should never go to waste. Now with that being said, I'm going to take the piss out of these logos. In the premiere episode of Identity Judgement, the HBO original programming logo will be reviewed. The nature of the logo, as well as its longevity, will be addressed. Next, we'll take a look at the 1991 Alliance logo, an iconic Canadian logo, but is it worthy of its title? We'll find out. After that, the 1990 KINGWORLD logo. Is it good for its time, or was it ever good? And then, we swoosh into action as we take a look at the 1988 WORLDVISION Enterprises logo. And now we'll take a look at our dud of the day. What bad logo will we look at tonight? We'll find out as we begin the first episode of Identity Judgement. We start briefly on a black screen. As the screen animates like a TV screen turning on, it fills with static. A shadowed outline of the HBO logo appears, along with original programming. The static fades into a black background, though the logo remains filled with static. Starting in 2005, the name HBO Entertainment replaces the original variant, with entertainment in place of original programming. This logo is iconic in many ways. Firstly, it catches the viewer's attention by being intentionally jarring, but in a way that's not in your face. It does it in a really creative way by animating like you're turning on an analog television. The logo even focuses in like you're trying to fix the antenna on your television, indicating that you've had a bad reception, and that choir at the end indicates that you've succeeded at getting a clear picture. Now that's amazing. Personally, I love this logo. It's one of the best logos of the era it was made in, and it definitely shows it in its creativity. I need to relay some trivia about this logo before I go ahead and give my full opinion. This logo was inspired by the opening credits to an HBO show titled Dream On, which some of you viewers may remember. You can definitely see it in the way the title logo animates. Before this logo made its debut on season 5 premiere of Tales from the Crypt, HBO had used a bland title card that said Home Box Office Presents, and at the end of the program it read, "This has been an HBO presentation," or "The preceding program has been a presentation of HBO." In 1998, the descriptor was reinstated, playing the animation and ambient music structure backwards. The normal HBO original programming logo was used before that. I'm pretty sure this logo is recognized by everyone that's watching this video right now. You might have seen it on The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Sex and the City, The Wire, which is my favorite show of all time, True Detective, Veep, Westworld, and God, that used to be funny, it's not funny anymore. It's a neat logo indeed, and it has definitely nailed everything that makes it an attention grabber logo. However, this logo has a big problem, and it's something that you already know. This logo, unfortunately, is dated. This logo worked really well until, I would have to say, 2009 or so. In that year, it became the broadcast standard to switch signals to all digital, with television stations all across the United States making the switch. This logo is definitely a remnant of those days, which makes me ponder the last time I have ever seen a modern television display static, in which they do, of course, but the problem that remains is that there's never been a day where I would have to fix the reception because of the static. Nobody does that anymore, and that's where HBO comes in. A new era is about to come, and I can divide their eras into 4 periods. There is the Virgin era, which was HBO acting like a normal teenager with a rebellious side. That's when this logo made its debut. Then there's the Sopranos era, where HBO grew into some deansless college student phase. And then there's the post-Sopranos era, where HBO's having the post-grad blues. This era is where HBO should have changed their logo. And now we're in the Game of Thrones era, and HBO is more popular than ever. They hadn't changed their image since, and I can theorize their reason for not changing it. The logo works, and it does. It's very effective and invigorating, and now people associate HBO with quality programming. And when they see this logo, they immediately know what's up. I'm going to give this logo a B+. This logo serves its purpose even though it doesn't reflect the image of today. If HBO can find a suitable successor for this logo, then it will definitely be more than we can imagine. We see a dark night sky with mountains of metallic silver gemstones below, one of which streaks brightly. The screen cuts to a bird's eye view of the gemstones. One of the pyramid-shaped gemstones rises into the air. We cut to a side view of the gemstone turning in the sky, facing the view of the gemstone turning up on its side until it shapes into a long isosceles triangle. A spark flies from the bottom left of the triangle. When the spark reaches the top, it brightens and the triangle turns into a boomerang-shaped metallic A, with the text Alliance written below, in a Times New Roman font. The spark reaches the top and streaks again. CGI wasn't used that often back then, and even if it was, then it was used in limited quantities. Even in logos, it was used rarely. One of the first usages of CGI for a logo was the 1980 KCET TV logo, and possibly before that, the 1978 Mississippi Educational Television logo. Companies that used computer graphics became conservative with their designs, only to make sure that the animation for that logo doesn't look bad. They were just simply waiting for the right time to utilize CGI to its full potential. And then Alliance came along. I swear, Canadians back then did everything right when using CGI. I mean, they gave us Reboot, which I will review later. And then they gave us this. This logo is absolutely beautiful. I mean, sure, you can tell that the logo is rough in some parts, but my God, you can actually see passion in this logo. One thing that's important in the logo is the attention grabber. And this logo certainly does that well by displaying the setting, a dark, quiet, snowy mountain backdrop. It piques the viewer's curiosity, and that shine in the background certainly helps. Using crystals as the main object in the logo is certainly a design choice done right. This logo was created at the time when textures weren't a thing yet. Had they used something else, then the product would end up looking like Rap City Street Kids.
You just got for an edit.
The music is also very well composed. It's a triumphant synth piano sounder that ends in a bang. Very well done. There's also one thing I noticed in this logo, and that's something I'd like to call situational editing. The logo would cut in certain parts that would make it inconvenient to show the whole thing, or the technology wasn't available at the time to show the full progression of the logo. All these ingredients would certainly age the logo, but unlike HBO, they certainly know when to quit using this. This logo would partially retire in 1998 when Alliance merged with Atlantis Communications to form Alliance Atlantis. It would come back in 1999 as a placeholder for the merged company, so a more advanced logo would be made. In my opinion, that logo was weak. It doesn't have the structure nor the payoff that the Alliance logo had. The end product was certainly half-hearted, and that fade into the finished logo was certainly a bad choice to make. It comes to show that the 1991 Alliance logo is badass, and is a prime example of an early CGI logo done right. It's one of the best logos of the era, and for that, it gets an A-. On a backdrop of vertical bars that resemble a doorway, we see KINGWORLD in silver and a bold italic font on the center of the screen. Below the text are two sets of 3 silver bars that switch sides, and at the same time, a silver triangle rotates itself from the bottom and fits between the 2 sets of lines. Between the 2 lines are a space formed with help from the W and a triangle that resembles a star. Then, quickly, a white star flashes in this space and fades out. Kind of a weird choice to review, right? Well, I'll tell you why I'm doing so. The 1990s KINGWORLD logo was one of the absolute first logos I remember seeing when I was a little baby. My mom used to watch game shows a lot, and the premier game shows that were on at that time were Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Wheel was my favorite when I was a baby because it had a very colorful look to it. The wheel, the puzzle board, the set, Vanna White's dresses, the logo. Everything was very stimulating to the eye. Oh yeah, and I forgot, the Hollywood Square was on at that time. God, I miss that show. I even had all the Tiger games for it. You know, those crappy LCD pieces of plastic that AVGN reviewed? Okay, I'll get it off topic. So now you see why I'm about to review this logo. Well, what I'm about to say to you may all shock you. This logo could have been a bit better. The logo has a very sleek design. The animation is smooth, the colors complement each other, the overall design is nice. It held particularly well until the late 1990s, when everybody started to notice that it was aging. KINGWORLD responded to that pretty well, and we'll get to that later. Alright, and now we're going to talk about why this logo could have been better. It's an alright logo, but there were 2 things that held it back from being top tier, and that was sound design and memorability. This logo had a poor fanfare. Very poor. Yes, it's triumphant, but it sounds like a beginner composed it. It sounds really amateurish. I like simplicity, don't get me wrong, but it's the execution that bothers me. It sounded like it was made on a discount keyboard that was purchased at Kmart around that time. Other syndicators did this too. King Features Entertainment had their theme recorded with a Yamaha DX7, but that was the 1980s. This logo debuted in 1990, so they really could have looked forward to what was ahead of them before they composed that cheap tune. KINGWORLD was a big syndicator. I mean, really huge. Wheel and Jeopardy drew mammoth ratings back then, and KINGWORLD launched the Oprah Winfrey Show in 1987, which spawned the talk show craze in the 1990s, which continues to this very day. KINGWORLD was king of the world, figuratively and literally. And the fact that their theme tune was this bothers the hell out of me. And now to the memorability part. This part is where I come in. If I wasn't growing up around this era, then I wouldn't have really cared about this logo. It doesn't hit home as a logo due to that cheap theme. Visual design is top notch, even though in the long variant, it wasn't thought out too well, and it's cluttered in the beginning. But the sound design was unremarkably unremarkable. It didn't fit the image of the company, and that's the point I'm coming across with. Logos are like a sandwich. Let's say the visual design is the bread. I would say that the bread is toasty and buttery, since the visual design is pleasant. And the sound design is just as appealing as frozen cooked meat. That frozen cooked meat will eventually make the bread soggy since it's greasy, unhealthy, and cheap. Just like the music for this logo, but I would give the logo some credit. They tried. They put effort into this logo, and it's very charming. I'll have to give this logo a C. I personally like this logo, but looking at it at a graphic designer standpoint, this logo is quite mediocre. On a white screen, the World Vision Enterprises globe with a red W zooms out from the center. As the camera zooms out, the word World Vision emerges from the front, and both plaster themselves into place. The text Enterprises Incorporated slides in from the World Vision name as the background fades to black. Afterwards, the radar globe shines and the World Vision International print stamp in very small typeface fades onto the bottom of the screen. The finished logo then cuts to black. I can recount the certain times I've seen this logo when I was young. I first saw this logo on 3 shows: Judge Judy, Judge Joe Brown, and Little House on the Prairie. World Vision and KINGWORLD have a lot more in common than you think. They both were television syndication companies. They both had the word world in it. Their logos are based or loosely based off of astronomy. The successor company is CBS Television Distribution, and their logos that are on this program tonight are suffering the same problems as usual. The animation in this logo is pretty decent. It's a simplified version of the home video logo they used at the time, which debuted in 1983. It uses the same music as that particular logo, albeit heavily edited. This is the logo's biggest problem. The music sounds like it's from the 1970s. And I don't mean disco 70s. I'm talking about Richard Nixon 1970s.
Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
It's very distracting to hear. Not only that, but if you pay attention, the sound is definitely in mono. By the time this logo debuted, logos that had debuted probably a year ago from this one had been using stereo sound. That is a terrible sound design flaw that could have been easily fixed. World Vision actually has the upper hand from KINGWORLD, sort of. The music and the animation actually gels together. If they would have remade the logo with late 80s instruments, then this logo would have been way much better. Overall, this logo is meh from a critical standpoint, but like KINGWORLD, it has that charm. I'm also going to give this logo a C. And now we reach the final segment of the show. It will be dedicated to a certain logo that is guaranteed to get an F. This segment will be called Dud of the Day. And I'm proud to say that our first dud will be the current Lifetime logo. This logo takes the cake because it's a considerable step down from previous efforts. There's little to no effort put into this logo. Everything about this logo looks and feels rushed. Just everything. The animation, the design, the music, everything. This is a perfect example on how to not make a logo. You have to be very passionate about the subject if you want to succeed. If you try and do the bare minimum, then your product will end up looking like this bland piece of sheesh. And with that, ends the first episode of Identity Judgement. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope this sparks a discussion. What do you guys think about the logos I reviewed in this episode? I'm dying to know your thoughts. Also, don't forget to check out the CLG Wiki. That's the main hub for the logo community, and that's where you'll be able to satisfy your logo hunger if I stimulated that for you in this video. There's also a page on Facebook that I want you guys to go to. It's under construction right now since we just created it. Stay away from the other page as that's an imposter account. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. From the SCMediaWorks studios in Grand Prairie, Texas. Hope to see y'all next time. Have a blessed day, everyone.